Good afternoon, guys. Welcome to another one of my live streams. Today, I would like to talk about the topic of saying goodbye and letting go. And I love this topic because people can get so paralyzed by fear of change that it's easier for them to just stay with what's comfortable, and I'll get into that in a minute because it's not always comfortable, but stay with what's comfortable than making a change and finding a new path forward. I've been through this a lot in my business and in my life, but I just had this moment recently. And I'm sorry for the nasally voice here that I have today. I'm still getting over this cold, but I had this moment recently, and I was sitting and reflecting and thinking about the year and some of the things that I did and some of the changes I made and some of the experiences that I went through. And um, I had this moment where I realized that I was at such a more peaceful place now than I was 2 or 3 months ago. And 2 or 3 months ago marked a point in my business, and it happens every year. So this isn't like a monumental thing just this year or anything like that. But you have to look at not just in business but in life what's working for you, what's not, and how can you go about changing that. Do more of what you like, do less of what you don't like. So um, I was about 2 or 3 months ago, 2.5, 3 months ago, I was really experiencing a lot of personal turmoil and frustration. And I thank God for my team because they really helped me. And that's, they help me all the time. But when things are a little tough, that's when it's really nice to have that support, not just for your clients, but for your own business. And I had to start looking at my business and saying, okay, this is what this next year is going to look like for me. This is where I'm at now. And is this working for me? And at that moment, when I had to kind of face that question, that answer was no. And that was really scary because it's like, wait a minute, what do you mean this isn't working for me? So then what do I have to do to change? And change, people hate the word switch and change, and because all the things that come with that is fear associated. It's associated with a fear that we make up in our own head of like, oh my gosh, but what if this goes wrong? What if this change isn't the right change? And you don't know those things. There's no guarantees in life. So I'm getting off track here a little bit, but I had this like aha moment where I was sitting there and I was meditating and I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, like I'm not, it's the holidays and there's chaos and everything like that. And I'm not feeling the best, but mentally I'm in just so much more of a peaceful state. And what ended up happening was I had some projects that I decided were no longer good projects. Some of them were internal, some of them were not. Some of my business services changed, and I really encourage you, if you do have an online business, to really evaluate what's working and what's not, because you can have a super successful product or service and things can change online, technology can change, and now all of a sudden that really awesome service now either has to be adapted to a different service or change into an entirely different service. But if you stay in that kind of cookie cutter mold of like, oh well, this is what worked, so I'm never going to do anything different, you're probably going to run into trouble. So anyway, I was looking at these projects and I was looking at the clients and I was looking what were profitable activities, what weren't, and not just the money. Because I know people focus on with business, I think people focus on money almost to a point of that it's unhealthy. And I'm not saying you shouldn't make money. Money is an important thing, but your sanity is also important. So you have to decide for yourself what is more, what's your threshold of money versus sanity. Where's that importance level? And I reached a point about 2.5, 3 months ago where I'm like, I'm gonna lose my mind here. Like, this is not gonna work. And I had a few challenging clients, they didn't start off challenging and they became more challenging. And that can be really challenging. That can also be, I keep saying challenging, but that can be really difficult too, because, and I had this happen three other monumental times that I can really like vividly remember in my business. One was really early on. And that first time was so hard for me. Not only was it the first time I had to make this decision to say goodbye to a client, but it was the first time that I was saying goodbye to a client that I really liked personally. It wasn't about the work. It was about the structure that I had allowed to have happen to get to a point where I was unhappy in the working relationship. And so to separate that friend, well, this person's now a close friend, but to separate the friend and the I like the person from the I don't like how this is working part, that was a very challenging thing for me. So now we fast forward, and 2.5 months ago, I had to look at the clients that made me happy. I enjoyed what I was doing for them. We had a good working relationship, I felt personally, mutually. There's a mutual respect and understanding for each other. And that, they were in accounts and clients that I really enjoyed. Like you want it to be a positive thing. You don't want to, I can go get a job and hate it. So why would I work with clients that I don't want to work with? Well, but sometimes those things can sneak up on you. You can start working with somebody and they're great. And all of a sudden it's 2 months, 3 months, 4 months in, and all of a sudden it's like you don't even realize that you're on this roller coaster of emotions and stress and whatever. And that's what started to happen with a couple of my clients. And it was and every time I've done this in my business, it's worked out. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And I try to remind myself in the moments that it's going to be okay to have confidence in your decisions, and that something else will come up. And it always does. It's unbelievable. So I ended up saying goodbye to 2 clients. I had, unfortunately, one of them, and this was an eye-opener for me. I had one of the 2 clients that I said goodbye to. And by the way, it wasn't just see you later. It was, okay, so I still want to help you. Both these clients, I still want to help you. But in order to move forward, this is what I need to have happen so that we are both on the same page, and both parties are mutually respecting each other and that kind of thing. And I kind of like left it up to them. And ultimately, both of these clients didn't like the suggested structure, and that's totally fine. My structure doesn't work for everyone, but I mean, everybody has a different business, a different comfort level, a different different goals, different people they mesh with, and whatever. So, but both of these people, I wanted to. I don't like to just be like really brash and like, sorry, see you later. So, but the eye-opening one for me was, and I couldn't believe I didn't see it sooner, but I had one of those 2 clients. I had probably 2 or 3 months in, I had a team member quit working on that account, and they said that they didn't think that they were a good fit. And I felt like they were being kind of hard on themselves. And, because mistakes happen, and this account was a little bit more particular and tricky and kind of got some getting used to. And so I expected that, and I think the client did too. So I was a little surprised that this person had kind of given up so quickly on working this account. But okay, that's fine. And they continued to work for me and work on my team. But they were working on other accounts, just not that one. So then I had trained another person to come in, and I had 2 people helping. I thought maybe between the 2, there would be some teamwork there, and they can run things by each other. And so I thought that might be a little bit better. And then I had one of those 2 team members basically say like, hey, this is really uncomfortable for me, Megan, but we need to have some things change, or I don't think I'm the right person for this account. Now, I have never, ever in, oh my gosh, I don't even know how long it's been now, almost 9 years of business, I've never had any team member quit an account. They may have changed their business or put their, they decide to focus on their family, and so they're not doing any freelance work or whatever anymore. But I've never had somebody come to me and say, I can't work with this person. And I should have seen that as like well, wait, what do you mean? Because whatever. Anyway, so I was really surprised by that. But then when I had the second person, and these are two phenomenal, skilled customer service, like just phenomenal team members. And so I was just so surprised that now two people were coming to me saying, Megan, I can't do this. And that was the account. I was already having stress related to it. And that should have told me something. And then I have two team members. So finally I'm like, okay, back up the train here. I got to look at this, and you take a step back. And I'm like, so this person and this person who've never done that ever said, I can't work on an account. They've come to me separately working on this account. I'm experiencing stress and anxiety about it. Okay, so something's got to change because what's going on here is not working. I'm stressed and I have team members quitting. Not quitting the working with me as a whole, but quitting just this account. And I wish I would have picked up on it sooner, but it was an eye opener, and I just thought, well, what the hell is going on? I also always try to take a step back, and it's like, okay, well, maybe there's something on our end that we're not communicating that's creating this. I always try to look back and reflect back at myself first, because I don't know what the client knows, and the client doesn't know what I don't tell. So you can't just immediately point fingers at the other party. So I really did a lot of thinking and tried to figure out, okay, well, where can we make improvements? And I proposed these improvements to try to make sure everyone was on the same page. And when that client was not okay with those improvements, that's when I had to decide that it was time to say goodbye, because it wasn't healthy for me. It wasn't healthy for my team. And it was a very clear indication that client, while they may have been a really good fit in the beginning, they were not a good fit later on. And so that was one of the two, but you really, sometimes those situations sneak up on you. And I've heard people say like, well, Megan, freelancers or businesses in general, they should have a better screening process for working with people, because some people will say, well, I'm not going to put my services up on my website and then just any old Yahoo can hire me, because I want to make sure, I want to talk to them and make sure they're a good fit first. Totally respect that. And I think in a lot of ways that's a good screener. However, to make sure personalities mesh. However, I also have to say that I don't think you can always predict the future. You can have a really great match with a client and their business may change or go a different direction. And then when they make that change, that no longer becomes a good fit for you or for them or whatever. So you can be the best screener in the world, have the best questions. Yes, I think it's good to make sure everybody's on the same page so there aren't misunderstandings later, but you can't predict the future. Like I said, there's no guarantees. But when you're in the middle of it and this stuff sneaks up on you, you need to take a step back and think to yourself, am I happy? Is this working for me? And if it's not, then it might be time to say goodbye. And that doesn't just go for clients. That can go for friends. That can go for projects. You might realize, like, I have this great idea and I'm going to work on this project. And you get into the project, and by the time you do this, all of a sudden you've put in all this time and you realize that the ROI is just not there based on the time that you're going to put into the project. And as much work as you put into it and as much as you feel like you've invested in, it might be time to say goodbye. So I want to challenge you going into the new year, if you're watching this, to take some time to yourself, maybe kind of carry over what I talked about yesterday in blocking out the noise and my tips on how to do that, and maybe combine the two as a little exercise to go into the new year and see what are things that you need to say goodbye to, because I can promise you there are probably some and you don't even realize it. This concept can be applied to so many things, not just your, I mean, even if you go in your house and you say, okay, I have things I got to get rid of, or you're packing up your holiday decorations and you're like, this is looking kind of old and dingy, or I've had this for so many years and there's really no sentimental value, and every year I debate on even putting up this decoration. Maybe it's time to say goodbye to that decoration. Those are really simple things, but I just want to encourage you to really take a look at that, because it'll give you a nice fresh palette and fresh start going into the new year. So I had said goodbye to those two clients, and funny enough, you could say, well, you must have not needed those clients so bad. Well, everybody wants to have a thriving business. I'm not saying that wasn't a financial impact to my business, but my health and my sanity was more important than any amount of money that you could get out of, that I could receive there. But the funny thing is, within 10 days of making that decision, I had received inquiries for 3 new projects and 2 new clients, all of which came to fruition. So I actually ended up coming out further ahead than where I was, and I got my sanity back. So don't let the fear paralyze you and cripple you. Don't let your emotions get the best of you, because sometimes those emotions can create that crippling fear of hurting somebody's feelings. And I'm not saying to just be brash and cruel, and there's ways to go about it. But if you have to say goodbye to something, you need to go forward with confidence and know that that is the best decision for you, even if it scares the shit out of you to do it. So I hope everybody has a great day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.